Welcome back. The Career Success Academy has a very important topic to talk to you about today. My name is Steve, and if this is your first time here, understand that our mission here is to help you get that next job opportunity, especially in very difficult economic times. And one of the things that you might notice is that your resume, there's increasing pressure on getting that resume right. And we're not going to talk about how to write a resume. In fact, we're going to talk about what your resume will not do. And then we're going to talk about what to do in an interview and how you have to make the most of the opportunity, because the opportunities are coming a little bit less often, and there's a lot more pressure on getting that job. So let's start by talking about what a resume does and what a resume does not do. What a resume does is get you that interview. What a resume does not do, it can't talk about your personality. It can't talk about what you're capable of doing. And it certainly can't talk about your creativity and your ability to be one of the best, or the best that you could be. And so, while that resume gets you that interview, it's up to you to separate yourself from anyone else who's interviewing. And it's up to you to let things like your personality and your ability to do the job and that much more that makes you the best candidate for that job. So what we're going to talk about today are the different things that you have to do or should capitalize, and then we're going to talk about how you actually do it. Capitalize that in the interview. So let's get talking. First on the list, let's talk about how you have to be able to persuade the person that you're talking to that the things that you're talking about really happen. You have to be believable. So you have to do really two things in order to be believable, in order to persuade someone that you can do the job. The first thing you have to do is be a good storyteller. I paused for a reason. Storyteller? Yes. Your career is all about you. If you can't tell your story, nobody else can. So you have to make sure that the story that you're telling is relatable to the particular job that you're interviewing for. What am I trying to say? You have to connect with the person that you're talking to. Sometimes you're in an interview situation where you're interviewing with more than one person at the same time. You have to connect to as many people as are interviewing you. Sometimes you do that with body language. Sometimes you do that with eye contact. Sometimes you do that in the way that you tell the story. But any way around it, people on the other side who are asking you the questions want to be able to relate to you, or as I say, connect to you. So the one thing you can't do is be dishonest. You can't lie. You have to tell a true story. But it is your story that the people who are interviewing you are going to remember. It's your story that they will be able to relate to. And it's your story that will get you hired or not hired. Which leads us to the second point. The second point is you must practice your story. Now, some of us are natural born storytellers, and some of us aren't. Your story needs to have a point. It has to relate to a work situation or to answering the question that they asked you about that work situation. It could be something as simple as, tell me about a situation where you were, and then they go on and they ask you about a situation. You, in your head, you craft that story. It's the same basic story. You're just tailoring it on the fly to answer the question. Practice, practice, practice. Go through mock interviews, whether it's just yourself in a mirror and you're asking yourself questions and how would you answer that question, or you get a friend or a trusted person to ask you questions and go through that sample interview, a mock interview. Very important to do. So not only are you practicing, but you are getting good at telling your own story. And there are different parts to your story because there's different parts to your personality. Give me an example where you helped someone. Give me an example of what did you do when someone made you angry? How did you respond? Give me an idea of how you work under pressure. And I can go on and on and on and on. This is a good time for me to suggest to you that you take advantage of some of the services of what we can provide here at the Career Success Academy. If you need a place to tell your story, if you want to go through a mock interview, if you want to practice, please go to our website, sign up, and we'll schedule a time to do just that. There's one other thing you have to do when you prepare for your interview, and we've all been there. We've all felt this. We've all experienced it. But you as a candidate have to learn how to manage your nervousness. Disguise your nervousness. Deal with your nervousness. This is important because think of it, if you're nervous, if you have difficulty telling your story, if you have a situation where you're kind of not your normal self, they're going to notice and they're going to consider it as they evaluate your total performance for that interview. Nervousness is your enemy. Comfortability and confidence are your friends. So as you practice, put yourself in different situations in your mind and deal with that potential nervousness. Now, some people will deal with that nervousness by, what I'm calling props. It could be a pen or a pencil in your hand. You're going to be taking notes. It could be a cup of tea or a cup of coffee that they offer to you, or a glass of water, a bottle of water, any of the above, but it's a prop where you're able to calm down by taking a sip, or you're calming down by taking a note, and then you're responding to a question. Especially if they're asking you something, the two biggest areas that you want to be concerned with are things when they ask you about and you don't have that skill, you've not been in that situation, and now your mind is racing to, how am I going to answer that question? Or the other situation is when they ask you about something that you've done, but you haven't done it in a long time. So how are you going to present your expertise? You're trying to remember, you're trying to put yourself in that situation, but it's been a couple of years since you actually were there. And it takes you a little bit of time to remember, respond, and communicate without showing that nervousness. Am I going to get this job? What's the old thing they say? Show no fear. All right, this is a good place for us to recap where we're at. And keep in mind, as you're going through the recap, keep in mind, this is very important. Practice, practice, practice. So you're comfortable, you're likable, and you connect with the people that you're talking to. Here's your recap. So we've gone through 3 tips. We've pretty much said that every interview is a critical interview. The purpose of your interview is to get that job offer or get another interview so you can get that job offer. You can't appear nervous, and you can't appear that you're not telling the truth. So, what is the art of persuasion? You got here because of your ability on a resume to deal with keywords, to deal with a little bit of creative marketing that gave you a leg up on whoever you're competing with, and it got you that interview. In your interview, as we mentioned, you have to connect with those people that you are across the room from. And you must be consistent. If you go from one interview to a second interview to a third interview, your story has to be the same. Your facts and figures have to be the same. And you have to inspire that confidence that you can do the job, be productive, and give them a good return on their investment. Once again, you have to be likable, because likable people will connect with the other people in the room. You're the people that are interviewing you. So the last point I would like to talk about is that in order to connect with the people across the room, one-on-one or more than one-on-one, you want to ask them questions that allow them to relate some of their experiences so that you can respond back to them. It's a give and take. It's a conversation. It's a dialogue, not a monologue. If you're in a monologue situation and they're not responding, you're not connecting. In order to connect, you have to get them to engage as well. Lastly, when you're about to leave, when the interview is over and they've asked you, every question they have, and you've asked 1 or 2 questions that you might have, make sure that you thank them for taking the time and trouble to interview you. And give them a small, just like we do a little recap, you should give a recap. Go through your points and add to whatever your points are that you really enjoyed the interview, you enjoyed meeting them, it seems like a good fit for you and this organization, give them the feeling. Again, be bold, but give them the feeling that you like them. That you, if given a job offer, would work with or for them. Why do I say that? Because when you walk out of there, if you have not done that, then they are going to wonder, if we offer you the job, would you accept it? Well, your mission is to make sure that you're minimizing any of that doubt. Even if in the back of your head, you're saying, I'd never work at this place. If they offered me $10 million tomorrow, I would not go work at this place. It's too far. I don't like the work, whatever it is. Don't let them know that. Your mission is to get the job offer. The purpose of the interview is to get the job offer. We're going to do a whole nother video on whether or not you want to accept an offer and what to do if you're offered a job in bad economic times. But for today, you want to leave there by being bold and letting them know that you are interested in working with them. It sounds very interesting. The project sounds good. Be bold, be firm, be confident, and connect. Those are the tips for today. I thank you for watching this video. If you get the opportunity and this is your first time, please subscribe. As always, we ask you to share this with other people, to visit our website. We're here to help you practice for your interviews. And we'll also give you suggestions on how to best put forth your story. My name again is Steve. This is the Career Success Academy. We'll have another video out pretty soon dealing with how you have to react in these very difficult economic times. Thank you for being here. See you at the next video. Bye-bye.